Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Today is June the 9th, 2025, and this is our regular monthly session. And we need to go ahead and have our pledge and our prayer, as we always do. And we'll start off with our prayer, and we're going to ask Commissioner Walker to do it, and Commissioner Gardner will do our pledge.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all your many blessings, dear Lord. We just thank you for your love, your mercy, and your grace, dear Lord. And thank you for all your many blessings, dear Lord. You've been so good to us. And dear God, we want to pause and say thank you for all you've done. And dear Lord, I just pray today, as we meet, dear Lord, I just pray we would make decisions that would be best, dear Lord, for the people we represent, dear Lord, and that would bring honor and glory to you in your name, dear Lord. And we just thank you for all you've done. In your name, pray, amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If had a chance to look at the minutes, do I hear a motion we approve?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we have our agenda in front of us. Do I hear a motion we accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Discussion?
A quick amendment, if I may, under appointment item C, under Friends of Fauna Flora. They had a conflict tonight and asked if they could be put off to July. And maybe in exchange, Mr. Lake Silver, with Congressman Edwards' office, would like to reintroduce himself perhaps to the commissioners in his new role.
That'd be great. So we'll do that if it won't upset Tommy, if he'll be okay with it.
Well, I'm here.
All right, and so pleasure the board on that. We got a motion, second, and all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thanks. First on the agenda tonight is the McDowell Public Library update, and we have Marion Brinkley here with us tonight. Sorry I got tongue-tied on that one, but we're glad to have you with us, Marlan, and appreciate the job you do down at the library, and we're excited to hear your report.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Chairman Brown and Commissioners. We appreciate this opportunity to share a few updates on behalf of the Public Library. I'm joined today by our Program and Outreach Librarian, Julie McKinney, and she'll be sharing some highlights of our summer reading program. But before she does, I wanted to provide a couple of updates on the Old Fort Library and our strategic plan. First, I'm happy to share that after 9 months, we'll officially reopen the Old Fort Library on Tuesday, July 1st. I had a walkthrough of the library this morning with Roger Maney of Foothills Cleaning and Restoration and Dwayne Riddle, and the library looks great. The carpet, we've got a new circulation desk. It looks like it's ready. In fact, even though we have an official opening date, we may be able to do a soft reopening in the next couple of days. So we're also planning a celebration later this summer to welcome back everybody in the community, and we look forward to inviting you all to join us once we've got those details nailed down. And then second, the last time I was here, I introduced our 5-year strategic plan, and instead of laying out a detailed timeline, we focused on a few broad goals and committed to planning just 1 year at a time. The idea was to learn from each year and what worked and what didn't, and staying flexible to respond to both opportunities and unexpected challenges. So despite the setbacks with the hurricane and additional flooding, we've made meaningful progress. And one area I wanted to highlight was our relationship with the McDowell County Public Schools, which is now stronger than ever. That's thanks in part to school administrators like Crystal Hamby, Michelle Baker, and Ashley Green. They've been incredibly generous with their time and have helped connect us to schools throughout the county. And the other part of that is thanks to the efforts of Julie and our program and outreach team. Since February, they've been visiting classrooms and offering enrichment programs for students. And while they made a point to visit the Old Fort students over at Pleasant Gardens, they've been everywhere, every elementary school, all the middle schools, including the special education classes at the high school. And because of everyone's hard work, we're wrapping up the school year with a stronger partnership, and we're excited to keep building on that. Now, before I hand it over to Julie, do you all have any questions about either the Old Fort Library or strategic plan.
Well,
Just,
I want to say one thing while it's on my mind. I was up at the Trains and Trail Festival Saturday, and yeah, it was Saturday, and I was happy to see bookmobile sitting up there.
Yeah. Oh, good.
and I was going to tag into that, Tony. I was going to say that I appreciate that bookmobile going to the other schools, the public schools and the private schools,
Yeah.
and the outreach to the private schools too. So, love that bookmobile.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that. All right, so I'll turn this over to Julie,
Okay.
and she'll share our plans for the summer reading program.
Okay.
Thank you so much. My name is Julie McKinney, as Marlan said. I am thrilled to be at the public library now. I retired as a public school teacher / librarian, so many of you look so familiar. That's because I've been around a while. And I'm just so happy to be at the public library. I used to stop by every now and then and say hi to Marlan, and I think, okay, when I retire, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to be, so it just all works out. So I'm just so happy. So thanks for that opportunity. I could stand up here a really long time and talk about things because I'm just so excited about every single thing that happens at the library that I am trying to control myself and keep it short. So if you will look through your packet, Marlan, and I sent over, I think, a brochure that tells about the summer reading program. It has all of our events that we have planned for June. Now, we do have a whole July calendar coming out soon, but I just sent June for now. Didn't want to overwhelm you. And let's see, we have the brochure, and we also have the calendar. And for everyone here who would like to see this, it can be found on our Facebook page and also online at our webpage. But I just want to say that we have something going on just about every single day. And I counted, just in June, we have 30 programs for the whole month. And that is something for all ages. We have toddlers, which is preschool. We have children events. We have teens. And we also have adults, and they're just some wonderful things. A few things I want to point out. For instance, well, let me just back up. Today was the kickoff for summer reading. I wish that I could have paid attention enough to count every single person that came by to register, but it was too chaotic because there were so many people. If I have to estimate, I'll say between around 150 people that I saw in and out of the library. If you think about it, that is a very small place, and it was just constant. We ended the registration with a magic show. He was wonderful. So that was a lot of fun, but that's only the beginning. That was the kickoff. Every single day we have something going on. Tomorrow is going to be a great day. I invite you all to attend, anyone who would like to. The adult program starts at 4 o'clock. We are going to be making Hobbit door wreaths, and they are just adorable. And then tomorrow afternoon, Mason from the Old Fort Public Library has developed a really strong relationship with teenagers and their families, and even though he is usually at Old Fort, those families said, oh yeah, we'll keep coming to Marion. It's a good location. And I just think it's a good place for teenagers to be. So many times teens say they don't have anything to do. Well, they do if they'll just come to the library. So that's why I think these school connections are so important, just so they know, this is a safe place. It's fun. It's not just all about books, all kinds of things going on. So that's tomorrow afternoon, and then if you just look through the calendar, I don't know, another program I'd like to highlight will be next Wednesday, the 18th, for children. We want to expose them to different artists. We have the Alma Thomas program at 4 o'clock on the 18th. So that goes along with our theme this year of color our world, and we're just talking about how art colors our world, and really books bring color to our world through reading. Another program I wanted to highlight on Friday, June 20th at 3:30 to 4:30, our history room. Every month we have a special program, and this one will be talking about creative McDowell. We're going to learn the history of local artists and how MACA was formed and how art is alive and well in McDowell County. That will be something very interesting. And one more thing that I want to mention that our history room is working on. We are still collecting archives such as newspaper clippings, interviews, or just anything related to Helene so that we can document that. Because right now, I think it's important for everyone to realize that we are writing the history. We always hear about the flood of 1916, which, it's kind of hard to imagine because, well, we weren't alive in 1916. I don't think anyone in here is. So, we just have the accounts. We need to have good, accurate accounts of our history. And this is the last thing I promise. So I am so excited about this. I am finishing this up this week. I have permission from the author, Peter Reynolds, and his publisher, Candlewick Press, to make copies of this book called The Dot. And it's like this, and those of you who have had children in school, like September 9th is usually Dot Day, and you're like, okay, Dot Day, what is that? Well, it's based off this book by Peter Reynolds, and it's a short version. A little girl says that she cannot draw. She is not an artist. Her teacher says, yes, just try and go with it. So she put a dot on a paper, and she said, okay, sign it. So she did. Well, that really encouraged her to continue on, and then she really got into it, making all types of art pieces, and then she encouraged her friends. And I think the overall theme of the book is make your mark. And I think that is something very, very important. Children, teenagers, adults, we need to think about how are we going to make our mark on the world right now. Hopefully it will be a positive one. So what I have done, that's kind of why I chose the book. I walked around the streets last week and asked different businesses if we could post one page from the book in their window so that families start at the library, and then the second stop is the Register of Deeds, and then we go all the way down Main Street, and then we cross and go back and around, and then cut back and end up at the library. The distance is 0.7 miles, and there are 20 different places to just walk with families, enjoy, time together, exercise, and it will be good for town, just a window shop. So that's something I'm just really excited about. So take a stroll and read the book, The Dot. Any questions for you? Okay, thank you. Thanks for letting me share.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Marlan, thank you both. Yes, sir. Okay, next on the agenda tonight is item B, which is the Helene recovery update. And tonight we are blessed with Mr. Andrew Pressley to give us the update on that. So Andrew, we welcome you tonight.
All right, thank you. Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners. Thanks for having me. William wasn't able to be here due to vacation, so he asked if I'd step in his place. Told him I would try. So today marks day 258, the EOC being activated here in McDowell. We continue every day to assist citizens where they're at, meeting them with their needs. We have a recovery roadmap. I'm sure that most of you have seen this already, dealing with debris removal, housing, and hazard mitigation. That's the three main things that we're focusing on right now in the recovery roadmap. Dealing with debris on the right-of-way debris, I know that you know that this program existed, but the program has now ended. We collected a total of 165,773 cubic yards of debris from private and public roads in McDowell County. Waterway debris, it continues. This debris removal along local waterways, and they have collected over 1 million cubic yards of debris effective today. Personal property, or PPDR, I believe last time that Will was here in May, that program had just kicked off. They were taking applications in, and that program ended May the 15th. They received over 1,400 applications that was submitted. JBW was the awarded contractor for that. Currently, they have 400 applications that they are working on. I believe there's 15 crews that are working in the county every day to go out and assist these citizens. And FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers will continue to assess and evaluate the remaining applications as they come in. This is just a quick slide, just showing you the total. The Army Corps of Engineers is reporting that they are 70% completed with all the debris missions here in McDowell, with around 28% being personal property, 81% being waterway. I foresee this to continue for months on the PPDR and the waterway debris projects. Private roads and bridges, we're still kind of where we were last month when Will came in and gave the presentation. We're still waiting to hear back from the North Carolina Emergency Management Program. I do have a meeting tomorrow scheduled at 12:30 with North Carolina Private Roads and Bridges in our office. Hopefully some more information will come out then. But we still encourage citizens to go to this webpage and apply if they wish to participate in this program. Our VOAD continues doing remarkable work, led by Jerry Lewis and Victoria Gregg with Grace Community Church. They've had a total of 502 requests. 427 have been marked completed. 46 repairs are pending, and then a total of 29 rebuilds are pending. A total of 629 are ongoing right now as we speak. And then our hazard mitigation program. There's several tiers within the hazard mitigation program. We've had 35 citizens apply for acquisition or buyout, if you will, of their property. That's a voluntary program they applied for. 21 have applied for elevation. 17 generator projects. These generators will be installed at facilities that were used during Helene response. So there's quite a few county facilities that we're capturing, along with some facilities for the town of Old Fort and for the city of Marion. So we're still working with municipalities to gather their data. A total of 12 landslides, and we have a wildfire mitigation program that's going to kick off this month. We have a meeting at AB Tech with Buncombe County Emergency Management, along with North Carolina Forestry Service Division 1, to see where that program needs to go. And then our priorities for the next 30 days is continue, obviously, addressing the critical needs of the citizens. Debris operations will continue with waterway debris removal and the PPDR cleanup, and then the demolition of structures that folks have applied for under the PPDR program. Housing repairs, they will continue, and hazard mitigation, like I said earlier, working with the town of Old Fort and Marion to finalize their generator list, and continue to implement long-term recovery strategies. As you know, we're here in hurricane season now. We're 9 days into the 2025 season, unfortunately. But we did conduct an annual hurricane flash flood exercise on May the 28th. We had 2 commissioners along with the county manager present for that. We greatly appreciate your attendance and assisting us there. We had a total of 90 participants along with 50 agencies that attended. And we got a lot of AARs, we call it after action review, from Helene, from all those stakeholders. And we're going to build upon our emergency action plan and emergency operation plan moving forward. And we've already done that. And obviously, the McDowell County Helene hotline remains open at all times at the number provided on the screen for citizens that may have needs or just follow-up questions. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm open for any questions you may have or comments.
Andrew, I appreciate your presentation. The Old Fort area there on the Aria Strait, they done away with that debris station?
So it's still a site, but they have conducted a lot of cleanup work. I believe all the debris has been pretty much mulched down, if you will, and hauled off. But it's still listed as a recovery site, debris recovery site. And I'm wondering when they're going to close that out. They haven't released that information to me.
They fixed the road. I was looking at it as I came in today.
Okay.
They've taken the road out, so I'm sitting there assuming that they're going to be letting it go to another area, and I was just kind of concerned about the old fort debris. Where's it gonna be going?
Yeah, that's a great question. I haven't been told that yet, but I'll try to get you an answer.
There's still one more site open.
There is. Yes, sir, there is. That's correct.
And they may have gotten the majority of Old Fort, because they did a lot of work up there.
They sure did. A lot of waterway debris
Yes.
come from that area, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Andrew. Move along now for item C tonight. We welcome Mr. Lake Silver. He represents Congressman Chuck Edwards' office, and he will be in charge of this district. So I'll let him introduce himself and tell us something about what his job is and his plans are here.
Good evening. It's good to see you again, Commissioners. So happy to be back. I gotta say, this is a little bit of a full circle moment. It's about 2 years since I left this room officially, and working for all of you, many of you great people, and so I'm so happy to be back. I'm gonna break the bad news first, and then I'll say what I think is the good news. I was going to say Tommy is leaving, but seeing as his last day was Friday, Tommy has left. So he's officially gone, which is really sad. I promise I didn't push him off the boat. He left on his own volition and has really great green pasture that he's going to now. And we couldn't be more happy for him and what he's doing. And I know the Congressman is super happy and excited for him. And so, therefore, our team is kind of transitioning a little bit. Typically, over the last 2 years, I've covered Haywood County West, 7 western counties in the eastern band. I'm going to be adding Buncombe and McDowell to my list. So that's where the good news comes in for me, is I'm going to be able to be back home. And the second I left McDowell, I've made it very clear that I wanted to serve the people who had served me for so long. And so I'm so excited to be back in McDowell County, serving the people of McDowell County. I also asked Tommy to be here, and he was very kind to come, even though he's ditched us. But I wanted him to be here because he has done so much for this county and for the eastern part of our district. I cannot begin to list the things that he's done, not only in the forefront that you all know about, but behind the scenes. Most notable is definitely the work he did during Helene, alongside many of you sitting on the dais, many people behind me, and Will Keller in particular, to try to make sure Western North Carolina was okay and our citizens were going to be okay. And so I want to publicly thank, on behalf of the Congressman, I want to thank Tommy Lauder for everything he's done for Western North Carolina.
Tommy, let me say this on behalf of McDowell County and certainly the Board of Commissioners. We appreciate all you have done for Western North Carolina, and especially McDowell County. And as you pass the torch on to Lake tonight, we appreciate the fact that it's been placed in good hands as well, and we appreciate what you've done, and we're looking forward to the good that Lake will do for our community.
A lot of people don't know this, but he played a large role in particular. I think this is just a shining star, and there's so many. Like I said, I couldn't explain them all, but he played a large role along with the Congressman, hand in hand, both of them, working to try to get the Ingalls warehouse back open after the storm, which people don't realize, if that had remained closed, there would have been empty shelves and people would have been hurting a lot more. And that's in no small part due to that man sitting behind me. So I wanted to publicly say thank you, and thank you, Commissioners, for allowing me to do that. We're still going to be here. I'm going to be here as much as I possibly can. I've got a mom in Nebo that's like, okay, now you've got to come see me all the time. So I will be here. We're continuing doing casework through our Carolina Cruiser. There's just going to be a little bit of a taller field rep in the Cruiser from now on. And we're going to collect VA casework, FEMA casework, anything that your constituents need. We're going to continue that. And then also,
if you need anything from the congressman in terms of legislation, he still sits on Appropriations and Budget Committee, and we've worked hand in hand and are continuing to do that to try to get things for Western North Carolina.
We have some good ideas.
And so, yeah, I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here. It's great to see all of you people in this room who I consider to be great friends of mine, and I'm looking forward to being around a lot more. So, thank you.
Thank you, Lake.
Good deal.
All right, moving into old business, item A is the water system project. Mr. Wooten, would you like to lead something on that?
This is definitely an area we could use federal assistance on any of our projects. So,
Thank you, Tommy.
thank you, sir. So please take notes, Mr. Silver. So, and I have sat down with Mr. Lauder in the past over different project priorities that you've laid out, whether it's water infrastructure or capital facility needs. So some of those have been able in the past to make it over certain hurdles on the congressional side, and we're hopeful for future years for some projects we've identified there. So moving on to water, just quickly on the NEBO side of things, what we call the East End project, which is around the Marion Lake Club. This is something that I believe Mr. Silver did a large amount of work on.
He did.
So I give him tons of credit on it. But again, we had private water systems that currently run out of water, not just on hot and sunny days, but even when it rains. And so this is a project that we identified several years ago, and it's taken a long time to get to this point. So we're finally there. The project officially started on, I believe, June 2nd, and so they're starting to mobilize in that area around the end of 126 and sort of near the state park. Phase 2A and 2B are starting to crest the hill towards the into completion. We have signed off on the completion of a couple of those sections. We're not waiting until the end of it all, because we have people that want to hook on now, which is great. So I've signed a few of those, as has the engineer. And then what we call phase 3 is it has been approved by DEQ, as you see, but we're waiting for NCDOT to approve some encroachments on some bore pits we're needing to do. So this is federal. Phase 3 and up above is what I call ARPA money, American Rescue Plan Act. And we have to have all of the project complete, all of the money spent, all of the money reimbursed back to us by December of 26. And so the clock is ticking on all of these, and especially phase 3, since we've not gone out to bid, and the engineer knows the deadline. They're reminding DOT of the deadlines, and you know, we should be on track to be out to bid in about 2 months on that one. So, and then exit 90 Harmony Grove Road area. That one is not. That's Appalachian Regional Commission and some local funds. That one is just, it's been submitted for permit, DEQ as well. And then the next section we're very excited about, the system southeast of Marion in the Providence area, historically as it's been known, the West Marion Elementary area. I mentioned last month that our engineer Withers Ravenel had a new project engineer come on board, and one of the first things he said was that the prior guy mentioned that you need a booster station. I said, no, he hasn't. What is that? And he said, well, a booster is what it sounds like. It boosts the water through the line, because if you've been out to West Marion Elementary or anywhere in that vicinity, you might notice there's a gradual incline of elevation. And so we have been very fortunate in the Nebo area where we have our system. The water pressure as such is very high at the end of the line, that water just flows naturally. There's high pressure, and we actually need pressure reducing valves out there so people's sinks don't get blown out, the toilets and everything else. So this situation is different. because of the elevation being about 1,600 feet, the highest point, which is about the height of the city's water tank. And so there's not enough fall, like we have in Nebo, since it's about equalized, to have the water move throughout the lines or whatever that would be built out there. So in order to have adequate pressures for residential users and institutional users like the school, and then for fire protection, apparently a booster is necessary. And so in that initial meeting, there's been some questions sent. Is there a different routing you could take? Could you go down Zion Hill Road and come back towards the school? Any route they would take, we're going to have a need for a booster station. And so unfortunately, a booster station costs money, of course. And the estimate, it's just an estimate with all the engineering and purchase and construction installation. It could be $750,000, $800,000 for that infrastructure. So that is, when you add that together with the updated estimates, it becomes harder to get to the school, if not impossible, with the available money. So just a quick reminder on the money we have. We have $500,000 of Appalachian Regional Commission. I believe Mr. Silver worked on that one too. I like to give credit where it's due. So he worked on that one. We've been holding that for a couple of years. We received an appropriation of almost $4 million from the General Assembly, thanks to efforts of Representative Green and others. And then the school system has committed $500,000. So when you add that all up, it's close to $5 million, a hair below. And that is a little bit below what it would cost to affect the extension to the school and have the booster station. So instead of just asking for you all for more money to be appropriated from some unknown place, I'm looking for other sources, of course, first. We are looking first through the SRF program. In traditional situations, there's what's called the SRF, which is a state revolving fund. This is something that's been in place for 35 or 40 years. This is money appropriated by Congress that goes to the states. The states then essentially loan it out to the counties and municipalities and others. Typically, it can be a forgivable loan, and so they've been doing this program for a very long time. After Helene, there was a relief bill passed by the congressman and his peers to where there was a Helene set aside. And so what I have done, kind of try to get ahead of things somewhat, is I submitted on our behalf essentially a letter of interest. It was a very brief application of the facts of our situation. Just, the cost to do everything like we would want, the funding we have available so far. Our engineer provided a few documents for us, and I submitted it about a week ago. All that really does is it tells them, oh, McDowell County has a need. We'll just add that to our list of counties and municipalities that have interest. So it's not an application, it's not even a pre-application. They're not going to start taking those until the applications at the end of July. And so we'll definitely be on track for that. There may be other funds available, but this one is for impacted communities. And we're trying to highlight the point of resiliency for future events, and that we would be providing public water for our school, for our fire department substation, a very large church that is a public water supplier there, and then the community at large. So,
has there been any kind of study of any type to see the interest of the residents in that area and the businesses, whatever they are, the interest in having county water?
We have spoken to all of the businesses that would kind of register, as it were, between Pilot and essentially Baker's Automotive. We did that in the application process for the ARC grant. And there may be others kind of along the line, but those are the ones that we leaned on at that point. We have not done a door-to-door campaign on the residential side for interest. We have had some folks call in when they've heard about the possibility, but not like a door knocking campaign or mail campaign.
So is it still just going to go straight down to West Marion, or you just had the blue on the map
Right.
as a contingent?
The obviously the primary goal that you've laid out is to get to the school, and the blue line is just showing kind of an upper loop there. But what we're trying to do, especially with the fire department there on Zion Hill Road, is to try to complete that loop. Again, the loop for maps not on the screen, but would get Sugar Hill Road down to the school, and then up Marlan Road, and then back Zion Hill. Has been the idea of the loop when we talk about that.
Maybe our good friend from the Congressman's office can help us locate some funding for that.
Mr. Wooten, I do want to say that since the state was so gracious in $4 million and being in meetings with them off and on different projects, they state that once they fund initially a project, they like to go back if a further need for funding arises. They look upon that favorably, and you've got a fire department that is trying to, here again, protect property out there, keep a low fire rating. You've got a school and a church. I would like to just bring this, see if the board's interested in doing this, and go ahead and make a motion tonight to have just a letter sent to Warren Daniels and Dudley Green, since they were so good to help us on the front end, and state, guys, we've got a school, we've got church, we've got a fire department, and people in between. Is there additional funding? I mean, you've got the SRF grant, which is good that you file for that, but right now this project's on hold because they need $8 million and we've got $5 million. And according to the documentation that you put in their packet, it stopped until there's further funding identified. The project's going to sit there, and so I would love to see us maybe explore the option with our legislatures and just say, guys, can you bring in some more money here with and only do say no.
Is there a termination date on the funding that we've been approved for?
There are deadlines for both the ARC grant and the appropriation from the state. They're several years out, so there's a ticking clock, but it's not so loud as of yet. So we have time.
And can you also find out what it is to run the water line to the school system, and then what would be the other of putting the loop on there because of the, for clarity?
So just running down Sugar Hill just to the school.
Just to the school system, because that's what I thought we originally voted on.
That is the priority, yes, sir.
And if we do not do that, the school system will back out. And I think that, I do think that David's right, and I will second his motion in getting with the legislation to assist us in getting the fire department. I do think that that's interesting, but we need to be clear. This is what we applied for originally, and this is now what we want to do. And I think that is, but I think that the number one goal is to get it to the school.
And one thing too, in addition, by making the loop complete, if we can do it, because the loop is $8 million, right? Is that correct, Ashley?
That's right. Yes,
the
sir.
whole thing's $8 million, right? Having water continuously flow and not being dumped at the end of that's important
Well, the
too.
expense now at this point is going to be the pump station, basically, getting it. If we can get it, then, the expense won't be that great to make the loop. It's just.
What's the estimated price of getting this run to the school only?
I'd be guessing at this point without that in front of me, but I can get that to you.
Because I think that's what we put on the grant and everything else, right? And I just want to make sure that we're clear, this is where we are, and this is where we got to go, number one. But number two, we would like to get this brought in here as well as a secondary.
And right now, we don't have funding to even get to the school, correct? Is that right?
It would, and you never quite
Because of
know
the
until you
pump
go to bid, but from the conversation with the engineer, they had concerns that we would get all the way there with it. It might be short, but the ARC grant, it again was tied mostly to the businesses, and the commitment for that one was to get essentially to the Zion Hill intersection on Sugar Hill. And the state appropriation, that was kind of open-ended, but the school is definitely, if it doesn't get to the school, they're not going to commit the funding. And that fund, $500,000 would be, not having that, obviously, it would just kill the project. So.
And as Patrick said, that's a priority. The board's
That
priority
is
is
the
that
priority. We
school.
need to make sure we have our monies right. What does it take to get to the school? And then what does it take to get around the loop? And it's,
Did they indicate in the plan where that booster station needs to go?
The discussion has been essentially at the start of the system.
There at the pilot.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
where the master meter would be.
On the Miller property, right?
That's right.
Okay. You can just bring us more information as you get it.
Need to vote on the motion, though, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, got a motion.
to get with the legislation
Okay.
for assistance.
All right, we have that motion and a second. Any other discussion on that? All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Let's move now to item B, which is the county property update. Mr. Wooden?
Yes, sir. What county property are you talking about? So I'll tell you. So the county has leased property on 4th Street from a local family for over 10 years, maybe even closer to 15. And this, many, many decades ago, used to be a used car lot, and so it's just a parking lot. And we leased that lot at the time for the purpose of parking DSS vehicles. And we noticed, again, back when this all started, that with our agency vehicles, with employee vehicles, client vehicles, and as we added staff at DSS, it was just too much in that lot. So the easiest route at that time, I suppose, was to lease that lot and then move the agency vehicles over to that area. And typically what happens is during the day, staff will just walk over. It's about a block over. It's not so far. And then if they're going to be driving a vehicle at night, often they will get in their personal vehicle, drive over to the lot. There's plenty of space. Go out and do a home visit and then come back and, get in their car and go home. And so that has worked very well for, again, about 15 years. The county has paid about $300 a month that entire time, so a little over $3,000 a year. Maybe there's been one increase in there at some point, but very good deal for what it is. We did receive notice from the property owner last week that they are going to terminate that lease. And so we now have what I would call a situation or perhaps dilemma of where to move those cars. And so again, there's about 15 when we're at full fleet. And so I do have a map crudely just kind of put together for you, just outlining obviously where the agency is in red. On the right side there, a little bit hard to see, but the lot is outlined in blue that we've been leasing. And then I also highlighted in red what I call the jury parking lot on the corner of Garden and Court Street. And then on South Garden in red is the lot that we own jointly with the city of Marion. And then in yellow is where the EMS station used to be. In the yellow area, we have talked about at times over the past couple of years since that building came down of making that a parking lot, but that's not been obviously done yet. It's a nice little grassy area right now. So again, the situation we have is what to do with those vehicles, because anywhere they're going to go, if they're in that jury lot, if they're in that EMS lot we own with the city, it's going to impact current operations. And so I have spoken with our Public Services Director, Mr. Riddle, just hypothetically, if we were in a rush, a panic or whatever, and I'm not necessarily suggesting this, but if we needed or wanted to gravel what was the EMS station, obviously we could do that. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing concept. There's a cost, of course, but we could do that if we were in a bind. But we could, park them at our DSS agency or at the jury lot or on South Garden. But I did ask the property owner to reconsider. They said no. They did say they would give us 2 or 3 more months, kind of on a month-to-month situation. So I don't normally, this is more or less routine, kind of day-to-day stuff that I try to worry about and stress out and not bother you. But when you start to talk about parking and you start to talk about neighbors, as I kind of allude to DSS, it affects other people outside of our employment and our agency and the organization. And I don't want to do things on my own. And you say, what did you do? What's going on there? So again, the easiest would be just to move those for the time being, either to the DSS agency or one of the other 2 paved lots.
There's several spots there at the Red Cross building that are not normally used.
Right.
How many spots are at the jury parking lot coming down the hill to the left?
I don't think we've done a count on that one.
And how many days, my next question, follow-up question would be, how many days would that lot be used? I know when they're trying to pick a jury, you got all the people piles in up there, and they got to go through the process of selecting a jury. So how often is that done to buy time? Because you presented a budget, and we talked about it earlier, and you have no more excess money. Everything's accounted for in the budget. Is what you presented. So you're talking about spending money to gravel that spot, but you might have enough spots, as Lynn said, to go ahead and park what you've got, 15 cars, over there and in the Red Cross, and not impede or slow down anything going on the days they have the big crowd come in to pick a jury.
And we could do half and half, because people that are going to court, and that's not what you suggested, but I'm just throwing them back as an option, but people that are going to court tend to park, whether they're in a jury or not, tend to park in that jury lot. And then people that work in our services building tend to park in the new little lot you provided for them, or in the South Garden lot. But splitting the difference for right now, while other options are looked at, like maybe making the yellow area there a lot at some point, maybe through a partnership with the city of Marion, could probably get by for the time being.
And how many you say between the business and the landlord-owned building that they rent out the back apartment area? How many cars are parked in that spot daily that could be utilized by DSS staff?
Sure. So, kind of further add to the question, perhaps. So, currently the DSS lot is not marked for DSS purposes only. So, you have that ability to restrict all your own property and all your parking lots to employees or clients or whatever you would like to do. That is not currently in place at DSS. And so, because it is publicly owned and not restricted, there are neighbors that utilize that lot. Again, we're just being honest and upfront here. There's a residential use beside our property. They have no parking there, and so they use this lot. There's about 5 cars every day. There's a business across the street that in any given day there's about 8 cars or so, from I think mostly employees, that park in our property. And so both of those are long-standing situations. I'm not saying you can't do anything about it because of that, but I'm just explaining the situation that both have been enjoying access to this property, maybe even before we owned it, going back 30 plus years. So that's just something to think about. If you were to limit who parks in that lot, those folks are going to have to go somewhere, and the somewhere might be one of our lots somewhere else. So it might just move people around. There is no city parking lot in that area. There's no street parking in that area. It's just really limited, the eastern side of downtown for Main Street for folks.
I think that temporarily, let's see if we can get the thing split up between a few of them, but then also talk to the city and see if they would be willing or willing to kind of go in with us to go halvesies on that yellow parking area. That would be a suggestion.
Is that a motion?
I'd make that as a motion.
Let's restate that, Patrick. I was trying to catch you on the first part of that.
First part is to see if we can allocate parking in the other lots as he described, but we definitely, I would hope that we can leave that available if we can, but go ahead and go to the city and see if they could split the cost.
I'll second the motion and discussion. So we've currently got 98 parking spots in that parking lot, right, Ashley?
Yes, sir.
You've got 15 vehicles from a business and individuals that are there currently every day. So that takes you to 83 spots left for 96 employees, right? If
Yes,
you got full staff, which you don't. So then you got to account for people coming in to utilize the services at that building for meetings, CFT meetings, I mean, a host of things. So really, moving forward, what's the board's desire? I mean, this discussion about...
I have an opinion on this, and for what it's worth, but, the parking there belongs to the county. It belongs, and it's there to provide parking for the employees of the county. Now, I appreciate the businesses and the other people that are there, and I appreciate the fact that they've got to use this parking area that we have for our employees for several years,
While we've been
it's a
paying
good
$300
gesture.
a month.
As a good gesture, But now, in my opinion, they need to be told that this is not a permanent thing. We have to provide parking and need to put our employees
First.
Mm-hmm. And if we do anything other than put our employees first, then I won't agree with it. So I think that we need to certainly put our employees first. We need to provide parking for them. If need be, and we need to speak to the business or the individuals and say, this can't go on forever, so you need to be making plans to provide your own parking.
I have no problem with that.
And I think we need to, for the time being, utilize parking areas that we already have, that are already prepared, before we spend any money on making another one.
How many county cars do we, even in the budget, like how many county cars will we have for DSS that will need like a permanent place to park?
It's about 15. We're down about 2 right now that would normally park over there. So trying to plan for about 15. And so whatever happens with any neighbors, there's still a need to have off-site parking at this time. But to your point, Chairman, is that just a thought right now, or is there a desire to have that communication?
I think that communication needs to be
I agree.
having with the business and the individuals that this concerns. I think there needs to be a conversation had with them and explain to them that we're trying to work with you right now, but long range forecast, you need to be trying to find your own parking.
And stress also the fact that we understand this has been occurring over time, but what's motivated the conversation now with each of the parties is the fact it's been communicated to us that we've got to vacate the lot, and we're in a month-to-month situation. So whatever we have to do, whoever is utilizing that parking lot that is not DSS employees or people utilizing DSS services or DSS cars, they've got to understand that as I've heard people say around the table tonight, that they've got to go when we've got to go.
I don't want
Whatever it is.
a county employee coming to me and asking me why they're having to walk 1 or 2 blocks to go to work when there's people that are using their parking places that has nothing to do with
The county.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I need to amend the motion to have the conversation with the?
I think that needs to be
I
added.
will amend the motion to have the conversation with the other people that are not, that have no ownership or business with the DSS, that we are having to look for other options, and we may have to cut out the free parking, so to say, during the work week when we're there.
I mean, if some kind of miracle happens and we end up with parking, I mean, I say let anybody that wants to park on our property park on it. But I just say we need to look after our county employees first.
So we have the communication. We're not actually stopping it, but we have that communication. Try to get it worked out where we can utilize the other parking areas for what we got. And then if it works out, that's great. If it doesn't work out, then we'll have to look at potentially graveling the lot or telling these other companies and individuals they're gonna have to stop parking there.
I agree with Tony. I don't want to make a hardship on anybody, but it just don't make good economic sense to me to pay $300 a month for a parking lot.
10 years, $36,000.
Well,
I mean-
when I've got spaces that I could be using that I own.
Well, it don't make sense to me to spend $20,000 on a new parking lot.
No, when I've got places I
Whenever
can
we've
park.
got places for our people to park that we're giving away to someone else.
Yeah.
That's my point. That's-
I think the need is still going to be there to have that overflow for vehicles, even if folks are asked to move somewhere else.
And historically, our good friends with the city went in, requested the county to go in with them when the attorney's house was taken down and that parking lot was created. And our board at that time listened and agreed to financially support them in the creation of that parking lot. So I think it's just a real good gesture for them to be approached and give them the opportunity to reciprocate the kind deed back towards the county in the creation and the paving. I think it needs to be paved of a parking lot and split it when funds are identified.
So that yellow parking lot that, we could talk to the city about, that could be more of a public parking area where the people who were parking at DSS could park.
Well, actually, too, the business there they could just walk around the corner.
And that would,
And that's going to affect the city more than us.
Yeah.
correct. So, I mean, when you mentioned going to the city about it, I think that would be a good idea for them to even have a public parking area.
Well, I'm sure, in the city, and I don't say this disrespectful, but they get more revenue off of those people than, forget it, disregard it.
It's all good. So, but that's the motion, amended motion, and.
I amended the second, yes, sir.
And so you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Call for the vote.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving along. Next on the agenda is the animal shelter update.
Yes, sir. Last month, you had a discussion about several animal services related items. One, of course, was an ordinance. That ordinance was amended, of course, and has been shared with our animal services, animal control staff, as well as the sheriff's office, who assist with enforcement as well when needed. You also had a discussion about the animal shelter itself. Again, not to rehash so much, but there's been discussion for 3 or 4 years about an eventual replacement for our building on 226 South that was built around 1980. And most of that discussion was based obviously on size and space. The county has grown quite a bit since then, but also to be responsive to North Carolina Department of Agriculture regulations and their inspections. And so last month you directed staff to evaluate an alternative site that had been identified, a potential alternative site for a shelter. One was suggested on College Drive. I did visit that site with Mr. Riddle. You could build a shelter just about anywhere in this county, and even perhaps this site. However, there are quite a few challenges with the site that was suggested. Namely, it has a lot of topography on it, so you would spend a lot of money to grade for the adequate size. You have a creek on the west side. On the north side, there's the right-of-way for the interstate. The east side is the right-of-way for the railroad. And when you go within all the right-of-ways, it's about less than an acre, and even less than that, it's actually buildable once you were to grade it. And so, in addition, you would have to reroute the walking trail that's there. And probably the most complicating factor is that half the property is owned by McDowell Tech, and that property was deeded to the college by the city of Marion, and there's a reverter. If the property is not used for educational purposes, it goes back to the city. So there's a lot of complicating factors to it. Apart from all those I listed, it might not be a bad site. So
you're not recommending that site, I guess?
It's not.
I take it.
The recommendation is still to focus your efforts, planning and otherwise, on Spalding Road. The site we've talked about, I think, since back around September before the Helene. That property, it has some topography on it, but there is some areas that are buildable according to the architect that we have worked with so far. And so, that's more or less addressing the site situation. You did ask for some thoughts and feedback and maybe more on some fundraising and in thorough consultation with Ms. Bell and how the county would go about participating in the fundraising activity. The recommendation right now is to essentially, Mr. Pressley left, but to mirror what was done with Emergency Services Headquarters, where if you remember Mr. Keller and maybe Mr. Pressley and others, they were the face of that campaign, and they did not have an external group, but they certainly leaned on private donors. A lot of them have been patients of ours and others that support them, where there had been some personal outreach. And so we have had, with that project, quite a bit of support from the community that, you made a commitment to build it regardless, but it helped with furnishing, it helped with many other things on top of the county dollar. And so the recommendation right now is to kind of follow that mirror of doing that. But in the research, I did talk to Burke County because we've talked about them building a new shelter. Mm-hmm. A local, essentially like a friends group of the shelter or animal services had been established, and so they have their animal services director serving ex officio on that board, and so that was an external group that kind of formed along with the need, and so we're not able to essentially set up a foundation per se, but we would be able and willing, with somebody that you would want to identify with and align with, could do something very similar to what Burke County had done. So, questions about
Is there any of the property out at the shooting range that is, feasible for?
We could look at that.
We've got a lot of property there, and
we own.
There may be some at the entrance that is flat enough to, would make an area that we could possibly get the animal shelter on.
So are you talking before you get to the bridge?
Yeah.
That Currently, that property is owned by a different property owner. We have a right-of-way over the road, and once you get to the creek and on up, that's.
Oh, our property don't start until you get to the creek?
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, then.
It might be why I never, but it's a great
It'd be worth
area.
a look, it'd be worth a look, maybe because ours goes down to the old pond, the old lake
Right.
down there. So there's some flatter looking area of land down in there. So it might be worth a look out in there.
A lot of
can
marshy
look
water too, marshy stuff in there too. But I mean, look at it, I mean,
Yeah.
and just see,
Yeah,
and
but
rule out.
it kind of floats off into it, pretty level out through there. So there might be an area out in there that would.
But you'd be buying land there where you own the land now.
No, that is ours that
Look
goes
on the-
down to the,
county side.
yeah.
Oh, you on the county side, okay, I thought you were still on the front side.
No,
on the
I'm
front,
talking about on the
okay.
county side.
I am glad, and our charge from you all, whenever, for this project, has been to look at county-owned property, which is what we've been trying to do from the get-go. So I'm glad to do that
I
with
want
Mr.
this to
Riddle.
move forward personally, but we have to have a piece of property identified first thing.
Yeah.
glad
I'm
to do
totally
that
in
in the
favor of the need is there, but we don't need to we need to be wise. And I think the site identified as the first, for me, the first check off. The second check off is an architect hired to go ahead and list the staff and then bring back drawings for the board's approval to say, we like it, we don't, and then go to bid. So, I mean, I think the state has been on us for 5 years, and I think that I'm ready to move forward on it too.
Well, that property at shooting range, you've already got a road into it, so
Yeah.
that part of the grading's done.
I'd be happy to go out there any day and look at it with somebody.
I'll set something up with you, sir,
Okay.
Mr. Riddle.
Make a motion, we go ahead and do that and have that site identified and bring it back to the board by next meeting.
Okay. We got a motion, second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, we move to new business. First item A under new business will be the budget update, Mr. Wood.
Yes, sir. And I have this on every agenda, and that can, except for this time of year, typically be, the current fiscal year, which we're in fiscal year, 2025, that ends on June 30th. But also this time of year, so just on that for a second, you have your property tax collection report and your sales tax report, as well as your county revenue and expenditure reports there in your packet. So also this time of year, I'd like to point out for fiscal year 2026, again, that budget recommendation was presented on May 30th. We will have the public hearing for the budget next Monday at our 11:30 meeting. And we sometimes, if not all, I won't say always, but often have that public hearing at this meeting. The reason we were not able to do that tonight is because we have to have at least 10 days between the presentation and the hearing, and we only had 9 days, starting the day after. So we want to follow the law, of course. And so again, that public hearing will be on, I think I've got a typo there, but June 16th, not the 19th, June 16th at 11:30, and that has been advertised in McDowell News, and a copy of the budget ordinance is available in the clerk's office. And so, and I've reported to you here and there comments that I've received from county departments and agencies, as well as external agencies. And we do communicate, like with the school system, with the community college, especially with the recommended funding levels, and then obviously with our internal folks, that communication has happened. And I think I talked about it in the budget presentation process. For a manager or a finance director, it's not a good time to have a popularity contest because you're doing the best you can for your folks and the recommendation. And every department leader and those that lead external organizations, they advocate strongly for their needs, and we're not able to meet all their needs. Of course, there's only so many resources to go around, and so it can be challenging, tough, or difficult, or whatever word you like in your thesaurus when you have that information shared. As far as, most people are somewhat agreeable and understanding, but disappointed. And so, but they have the opportunity to share concerns with me. But so anytime I get those for folks that are under my purview, for example, I like to pass those on and say, I heard this concern from the transit director, pulling somebody out of thin air. Just wanted you to know the feedback, but I haven't had that as of yet, but I'm sure there's others external to my supervision you have heard from or might. So.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Next will be item B, administrative items.
I'm sorry.
We need to approve the
Oh, yeah.
budget
Yeah, I'm
amendments.
sorry. You do have
All right.
some project budget amendments, and then budget amendments, GF 37 through 41, and then several for specific funds, such as the revaluation fund, fire department fund, debt fund, county projects, and quite a few others there.
Move we approve the
Second.
budget items.
Have a motion to approve is read, and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Wood.
Thank you.
Now will be the administrative items.
You do have two, and hopefully we caught everybody on the second one, sent that one out. But first is the EMS write-offs for transports that were non-collectible. And then the second is a financing resolution for several vehicles. I believe one was animal services and two are Parks and Rec, I believe.
You've had a chance to look at that. What's the pleasure of the
Make a
board?
motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving along now to item C, board appointments. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. The only thing that we have is Will Keller. Mr. Keller is due to come off of the McDowell Tech Board of Trustees.
Well, that can't
And
happen.
we would like, or he maybe would like to be reappointed.
Make a motion to approve, or reappoint Mr. Keller to the McDowell Tech Board.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, ma'am. Next will be tax matters, Mr. Wood.
Yes, sir. You have your typical non-collectible accounts and your releases and refunds from our tax assessing and collection office.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Got a motion to second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, citizen comments. Mr. Coates, do we have anyone? Okay, thank you. Moving along now to commissioners and staff reports. Anything from anyone?
Again, I will just note for people didn't hear it before, the public hearing on the budget is next Monday. We'll do it right at the start of the meeting at 11:30.
One other thing that it just now hit my memory bank. We were supposed to get back to the guys down at the meat processing. Did we ever get back to them on?
We have had some back and forth with our inspection staff, and I do owe them, did do a site visit down there last week.
Okay.
They were not able to, for various reasons, and they were okay with it, I think, but not able to make the store work on the site that we
Okay.
own. But they do have interest in maybe still leasing part of that property for, I might call sale days or something where it's, the site is kind of cleaned up, but it's not.
Well, that'd probably work better for us
Right.
with the, I think we were running into some obstacles anyway on the water and sewer.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll reach back out to them after that site visit and see what we can bring back to you next
Okay,
month.
thank you. All right, anyone have anything else? All right, do I hear a motion we adjourn?
Closed
I
session.
hear a motion we go in closed session. I think we have a closed session meeting,
So
and then
moved.
this will be personnel
Second.
matters. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are in closed session, and thank you everyone for coming.
Make a motion that we come out of closed session.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
I make
Okay.
a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.